EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martins here with your outlook for January 25th, 2019. For the second straight day, I'm dealing with some postnasal drip nonsense here, so just bear with me in this video. Not as clear and concise as I normally am. I'm going to try my best here. But here's a look at Friday. We're going to be much colder today. Of course, it was very, very warm yesterday ahead of that cold front yesterday. We had temperatures in the 60s, reached the 60-degree mark in some locations east of that front until that moved through. That is long gone. We are now much colder today and back to reality. Temperatures are going to be back down to near freezing in most areas for highs today. And there could be a few flurries across the far northern areas, across the Poconos, northeast PA. And not really shown here on the global models. You do see a few of these flurries moving in. This is looking at 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday on the high-res future simulated radar from the NAM. Just move this forward real quick just to show you zipping right across the Poconos. See a few flurries there from east or west to east. Not a big deal. Just a few flurries. Nothing to get excited about. And then on Saturday, same thing here in the afternoon. We'll zip this through here too. A couple flurries popping up here. See that? Not a real big deal, but just during the afternoon and evening could have a few snow showers, especially across the far north, but that could get pretty far south as well. Just flurries. That's it. Cold the next couple days, even colder on Saturday than today. And we are looking at, for the most part, partly cloudy skies. We do have these little weak short waves that are going to be moving through. Just very weak areas of vorticity moving through the region. And that's giving you those flurries both Friday and Saturday. Once we get to Sunday, though, you can see this area low pressure moving into southeastern Canada, into the Quebec actually, this is Ontario, I believe. It is Ontario. There's a cold front with this. It's going to move through. It's going to actually warm up a little bit on Sunday. Upper 30s to near 40 degrees kind of thing on Sunday for highs. But we will have later in the day the cold front moving through. And so a few snow showers with that. It's going to be marginal temperature, so I don't expect this to be a big deal either, even if it does come down in a steady snow shower for a little bit. I might have very little, if any, sticking at all. So we'll just have to watch where the temperatures are. If you're in the interior where it's a little bit colder, then sure, you can get a quick dusting out of that. But that's on Sunday, later in the day on Sunday where that comes through. Now, the next one is Monday. Monday's the interesting one because this is a stronger system. It's kind of like a clipper on steroids moving down through the upper plains into the Midwest, and it's going to move right over or near Chicago, give them a pretty decent snow event, and of course across Michigan as well. Now, at first glance at this, if you take this at face value, you have a system that's going to be cutting up into the Great Lakes from the west, and of course that is going to be drawing in the warmer air from the south and bringing the southern areas rain. I don't want to take this model at face value and just assume that this is how it's going to work. I have a funny feeling about this system, and I've been talking about this privately with some meteorologists and enthusiasts that I converse with at different times throughout the day. Here is that area low pressure that is cutting over just northwest of Lake Erie here, but we have cold air because of high pressure that's off to the north. You have a strong high that's sitting up here, and that high and that how strong it is in the position of that high will start funneling in some cold air ahead of it. So you will have, at least for the interior locations, some light accumulating snow at the very least. I think that's going to be favoring those areas shown here, but I'm not sold that this is exactly how this is going to evolve. Running into this high, this system here is moving up through the Great Lakes, and that's great. But there is a possibility, and the GFS hinted at it a little bit, but it didn't do anything with it. There's some rising heights here on the eastern seaboard, and I can see a situation where this is moving in, and it actually kind of, not dissipates, but heads up in this direction and out of the way, and then a nice little sneaky little secondary pops over here and goes up this way and brings you, a few inches up here, at least in the interior. Now, if you're in I-95 and you're watching this, I wouldn't get too excited. If you're in the interior, when I say interior, I'm saying north of I-78, up in the I-80 region. Those are probably your best areas back towards central Pennsylvania, especially north central Pennsylvania and northeast PA. Could get several inches out of this. So we're going to have to watch this closely. I just don't want to take the models at face value right now. There's a split flow in the Pacific. I know that doesn't mean much to many of you. But whenever you have a split flow like that, the models are trying to guess and trying to figure out where all these different pieces are on the map and where they should be, and there's so many of them it gets a little confusing, and they can cause some downstream issues as far as projections for once you get past like 3-4 days. And this is looking at next Tuesday. So certainly Monday night into Tuesday will have to be watched for something. And just to give you an example of that, now the GFS doesn't do this. It just changes everybody over to rain here. Light rain, but rain nevertheless. And then pulls this cold front through and ends it as a quick burst of snow at the end. Like that's what the GFS does. The Canadian this evening does something very similar to the GFS. Takes this low, cuts it way inland here, so it looks, but you have colder air at the onset here and high in a little bit better position. So this is all falling as snow, even though you have some warm air advecting a little bit. But your cold air is pretty far south, all the way down to the Virginia, North Carolina border at this point. And watch what it does after this. This is another interesting twist. Along that frontal boundary, as this moves up and weakens up into southeastern Ontario here, you have another wave coming through along the boundary. This is the actual cold front that's being brought in by that area low pressure that's dissipating. And it pops another surface low down here off the Delmarva, and that could be more snow for the interior. It's a possibility, just another solution. It's just some things that I just don't want to just write this off and say, oh, well, it's just going to be a light nuisance event, maybe an inch or two for the interior, and then it goes over to light rain. Very well could be. I just don't want to trust it at this range yet. There's still some possibilities on the table with this. And there's something a little fishy going on with this Monday, Tuesday time frame. I don't think we're seeing the final solution just yet. So this can go back and forth. And we're going to revisit this in the next couple of days here. But just don't sleep on this. We're not going to write it off, certainly. And we're going to keep following it. But behind this system, it does look like we get brutally cold. And I mean brutally cold. Probably the coldest it's been this entire winter. We had a pretty cold day, if you recall, Monday of this week. It was ridiculously cold. It's going to be like that. Might even be even colder with temperatures at night going below zero. Some very dangerous wind chills coming in. This is Wednesday, Thursday time frame of the next week here. And a little lobe of, not the polar vortex, but a lobe of that polar vortex is going to break off and settle in over parts of our region, or actually most of our region here on Thursday and Friday. So we're going to get a really cold, brutal shock coming in here toward the end of the week. But it does look like it's going to be dry, though, for those 2 days. Looking at it right now. Might have something coming in after this for early February. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchus. That is your outlook for January 25th, 2019. Have a great Friday.